Hey, what's going on? It's Daniel with Cuervo ATV here in the shop. A little late. I'm packaging some new pistons. So I know a lot of you guys don't really know what I look like. A lot of you guys know me in person. Not that it matters or whatnot, but here we are. So we are going to get back to product and showing you our 870cc, 890cc pistons we have. This may work on a few other rod combinations, but we will go over the specs and show you what we're working with for the Raptor 700 108 millimeter bore. All right, so here we are. Not that one. That's something else. I'll show you that in a minute. Finally got these parts in. Big thanks to CP for expediting these. We had a few mix-ups in production that are all sorted out, and thankful to those guys. So thank you, Don, if you're watching. I really appreciate your extra effort in getting these done for me. Obviously, the guys in production over there and drawing, everything else, CP has been great for me for this year. We will talk a little bit about history, why we went to Daimond initially, and it's probably a good time to talk about that. 6-7 years ago, we had quite a few issues with CP, not in the piston itself, but in the let's say the management and follow through on sales was a lot of issue. So we just weren't getting the support we needed and wanted, and the few problems we had did not get addressed in a proper manner at that time. So apparently a few years later or shortly after, we decided to that since we had decided to switch to Daimond, Don came on and as manager there for the power sports, and you know, it's been a few years now, we're back, but basically that's why we switched to Daimond. Initially they offered some nicer dome machining in the full radius of the valve pockets would be CNC machined versus just a plunge cut. So that is a nice option that we don't have with CP, but one thing we do to help with that is when you do take your new piston out of the box, before you put it in the engine, I do recommend to take some 600 grit sandpaper and smooth these edges. Make sure we don't have any little sharp spots. That is what I do recommend for that. So going beyond that, we had a lot of piston noise and chatter with the Daimonds, and it took quite a while to kind of figure out what was going on with that and why. Ultimately, the billet pistons are noisy to begin with due to expansion rate versus the forged, and then we did come across some other specs that are a little off from where they should be on diameters, and had a few things. Nothing would you say terminal for those pistons. They're just loud and always loud. So the guys that are running them, you know, I wish those were quieter over those 5 years we ran them. But that was ultimately what we were dealing with at that time. We couldn't get the support we needed to make pistons through CP at that time, and ultimately kind of came full circle where we no longer got enough support from Daimond, and that's what pushed me to look back at CP for them. So dealing with the issue with the pistons being loud and trying to troubleshoot those issues, I didn't get any support from Daimond on that. I sent them pistons to inspect, and would send them. I sent them used CP pistons as well as new, in comparison to new and used pistons of theirs that were allowed, and try to figure out what the issue was. Ultimately, I ended up figuring out that, I'll show you on a piston here, like a low hour ran Daimond piston, that if you have a Daimond piston, this is what is going on. Let's see, it will be hard to see here. This piston has ran for a little bit, but basically, man, that's going to be tough to see. Basically, between the top ring and second ring, this area of the piston is hitting the cylinder wall or scuffing up against the cylinder wall at low RPM. So you can kind of see a little gray line right here. That is that ring land scuffing against the cylinder. So the diameter of that area versus a CP, and this is ultimately what I found out, the diameter of that area in a spec compared to a CP piston is about 6 thou difference, and that runs through their whole range of pistons. So I believe what's going on is the rock in the, when that piston rocks, it has due to the skirt profile, the Daimond has a little bit more rock in it. That area at low RPM is coming over and slapping the cylinder a little bit. Now, like I said, we haven't had any terminal failures or anything going on with that, just the noise. So may contribute to some premature ring pack issues. It's too hard to really determine or put a finger on anything, as most of these engines do not run for 10 years or more. Like most often guys are upgrading before anything else. But I'm happy to be back with, definitely happy to be back with CP, a quieter product, and we are stocking up as we go with the different combinations, all in CP. So that's where we're at now. I do need to work out something for the 110 bore stuff. Still don't have a perfect answer for that yet. I may have CP do the billet pistons in the 110. Currently, I don't have any 110 bore stuff on the shelf. 110 and a half. So on from there is looking at specs of the Cuervo 870/890 piston. All our pistons are marked now with part number on them. This one, CR870-15.5, is what we labeled that one. So 15 and a half compression, depending on your chamber size and how tight you set this up. Like I said, we are using this on 11 mil and 13 mil stroke. So these got a little bit of bump and compression over the previous generation. Decided to bump those up just a little bit. These do have valve pocket diameters in the, boy, that's not very good focused. I'll read them off to you. 43 millimeter intake valve pocket, 37 millimeter exhaust pocket. So this can run a +3/+3. You can try it and squeeze a larger valve in there, but you'll have to do some modification. So +3/+3 is how these are set up to clear. Not a lot of guys running +3 exhaust valves, but we figure we'd bump it up to have that option in case there are. I know things constantly change. Want to give a little bit room to move forward for guys, especially not in this combo. On our 110 bore pistons, we'll go bigger on both pockets to allow room there for, like I said, for future expansion, or if somebody's trying something. We normally stay pretty conservative on our valve size. A lot of our +3 heads are actually almost all of them are +3/+2. We've tried a few larger exhaust valves, a few larger intake valves, and we kind of always come back to the +3, +2 as being the most beneficial, functional, durable combination. So we always got to try something, but we do want to put out products that are durable and not just 3, 4, 5 pass motors. So continuously, that's our approach on what we do. We want stuff to last hundreds of passes. And most of the time, we're getting 500, 600 passes out of valve train without any issue. And then we're expecting the same from rotating assembly. In this level, some guys might think that's a little low or bizarre or something, but at that performance level in the 100+ horsepower range and turning 10,000 or 10,000 plus RPM. So a bit world difference compared to a dune bike making 90 horsepower. So back on to specs. These pistons are, and if you're still following along, kind of breaking up the video some for guys who want to know why we're running Daimons or not, and guys who are wanting to know about this piston. Obviously you would still be around, but these are a compression height, pin height of 0.970. So that is down from 0.110. So that's like a 3.5 mil difference. All right, yeah, so 140 thou difference from a standard pin height. So almost 3.5 mil offset or pin height change. So we have a wrist pin that runs through the oil support rail. So this may work on another combination. Not sure what you got, but it's out there. So another thing we were looking at is these pistons are fairly light, even though they're a 110 bore, because of the offset in, or the change in compression height of how we run this combination. So it ends up with a very light piston still compared to other combinations. We're a piston weight of 387. So 387 grams. On this scale, it comes up at 390, which, whatever. Scale's not accurate that much. But if we take a much smaller, much less compression, this is an 11:1 CP shelf piston. The M1039A, what you would put in a stock bike. This piston weighs, reset this scale back to 0. So this one's weighing 384. We pull that off, that's back to 0. This one is weighing 384 as well. On the spec sheet, there's only 1 gram difference between this 108 millimeter bore piston with the huge dome on it than there is the 11:1 CP shelf piston. So obviously ring pack's a little bit different, a touch more weight there, not really, another gram or so. Wrist pin's the same. So super light piston, very happy with this. And this is set up to work with our latest 106 millimeter rods through Crankworks. So when we do the 11 mil, we have the new rods. This piston is built to work with that. So 11 mils and 13 mils. Yeah, we could do a 12 mil. Yeah, we could do a 14 mil. With that same combo, we can now squeeze in a 14 mil with a 1/2 inch tall cylinder and some shims. So 11 mil will go together with a 10 mil base gasket, or a 10 thousandths base gasket. The 13 mil will go together with a 50 thou base gasket. So that is what we got going on here. This motor size number is wrong, but we got finally what we need on the new CP 108 870/890 pistons. So, all right, guys, long video. I hope that explains a lot of questions of what we're dealing with. And on we go to the next one. We will talk to you soon.